Hi, good evening to you all. Thank you for joining us this evening for the very first inaugural Authentic Coach webinar entitled Why Authenticity Makes You a Better Coach. And if you have any questions during this next 20 minutes or so, please type them into the dialogue box in Zoom and we'll answer them as and when they come up if they're pertinent, or perhaps we'll leave them to the end if we feel like they need broader discussion. As I say, I'm Adam Farrell and I'm joined by my colleague Dave Jessop, who's also on the line.
Evening.
And I thought we'd just start with an introduction of why we have formed the Authentic Coach and why it's important to us and what we're going to cover in the next 20 minutes or so. Dave and I met in 2002 when we were on our NLP practitioner, and we always thought that there was a right and authentic way to use the skills that we were learning, both as NLP practitioners and as coaches. And we've been discussing the idea of authenticity as a primary driver for coaches for probably about 8 to 10 years. And we felt that now was a really apposite time to bring this to the market. We feel that in the face of so much social media and social media filters and the projection of personal brand, and there's so much fake news and subterfuge and smoke and mirrors, we really feel that authenticity needs to be the key driver for most human interaction and most personal relationships, but particularly a key driver for personal discovery. And that's where coaching comes in, both for the coach and for the coachee. And as I say, in the next 30 minutes or so, we'll cover authenticity and the relationship with self, the relationship with the coachee, the coaching space itself, how authenticity impacts on your marketing, and also how do you approach your life in general and your life as a coach when you have authenticity as one of your central beliefs. So just moving quickly, as you can see, I'm Adam Farrell. I've been a marketing mentor for about 12 years and I'm a qualified and certified coach. I also own a couple of small businesses, one called Content Fusion, which is a marketing business, and another one called Appealing Prints. And I'm also involved, obviously, as you know, in the Authentic Coach. And recently I was featured on BBC Radio 4. But the mainstay of the Authentic Coaching part of this business is very much around David's. And Dave has been a coach pretty much as long as I've known him, so since around about 2002. And Dave is more than just a coach. It's everything to him. It's the way he lives his life. He doesn't just do coaching. He's also a frequently featured speaker in the Coaching Academy. He's been a pioneer in the southeast of England in coaching and education, and he was awarded Life Lifter of the Year in 2010. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass over to Dave and let him introduce himself and then start to talk to you about his own journey and what authenticity means to him. Afternoon, Dave. Evening.
Yeah, evening. And again, thank you all for joining us on this this webinar about authenticity and why it's so important. Why it's so important to me. Why it's so important to Adam. And essentially, I guess you've joined because it's also important to you. Adam's touched a bit on my journey, and for me, when Adam said, "So what is it about you that keeps you true to you and the coaching process?" It didn't really take me long to explain that authenticity for me is the key ingredients above all the tools and techniques that I have as a coach. Authenticity for me is the key ingredients that underpins the successful use of all of them. In my journey, probably even before I became a coach in my own right, authenticity was crucial to who I was and where I was coming from and the interactions I had with people, and being true to myself, being true to my values kept me on the straight and narrow, really. Every time I thought I was veering off, every time Adam said about maybe the smoke and mirrors of fake news, every time I felt that I was going to dip my toe into a water that looked shiny and bright, my check and balance was, did this fit with me? Did this fit with who I am? Did this fit with what I had decided I wanted to achieve in the coaching journey? And if it did, I explored it. I explored it to the point until it didn't fit anymore, or I'm still in it and I'm still doing it. And I coach, as that first slide said, in all sorts of areas, one being education, SMEs, the corporate world, and private individuals. But throughout all of that, woven into that, is that sense of being true to who I am. And I truly believe that that has been the source of my success wherever I have gone. Because if I can't be true to myself, how on earth can I ask whoever I'm working with to be true to themselves? If I can't come into the coaching space and take my mask off, or be willing to take my mask off, and in a way even be willing to make myself vulnerable, if I can't do that, how on earth can I truly ask somebody else to do the same thing? It's that relationship with who I am, knowing who I am, and also knowing who I'm not, that's allowed me to say yes to some things and no to other things. It's allowed me to understand when a coaching relationship should be nurtured and when it should be, in a way, brought to a conclusion. I really believe that my sense of self allows me to connect with clients at a deeper level, and also really trust my intuition. Throughout the whole of my coaching journey, we all know that it's a human interaction. At the end of the day, people buy from people. And whichever platform we are using, you're still got to build that rapport. You've still got to build that connection. And I believe authenticity is crucial in that, because personally, it's what I'm looking for in other people. And if I can project it, if I can live it, if in a way I can exude it, then people are going to pick up on that. And what I love about being true to who you are is it's not something that you have to practice. It's not something that you have to put on. It's not something that you have to do. When you're coming from a place of authenticity, just who you are. And that ability to connect with yourself, for me, is the first rung on the ladder of success, because without that, there's no way you're going to build successful relationships with the clients. Because from your authentic self comes your ability to create authentic coaching relationships. And in any business, in any practice, or whoever you are and whatever you're doing, if you don't build successful relationships, then it doesn't really matter how successful you are within yourself and how authentic you are to yourself. If you haven't got anybody to work with, then actually you're probably going nowhere. The coaching relationship itself, and in the feedback I've had, and I've been fortunate to work with a fair number of people in all sorts of different ways over the last 16 years, that relationship that you have with yourself and that ability to build relationships with your clients, it's a matter of how you help them unmask themselves. It is that level of trust, that level of understanding that gets the depth of the relationship to such a place where you can really work together. A number of my clients have come to me for a number of reasons. I'm sure they've come to some of you who are listening. Some are new. They've heard about this thing called coaching and they're going to explore it. And if they're anything like myself and maybe some of the people that I'm working with, they look on social media and everybody seems to be coaching, from people who have just started out to people who have maybe years under their belt like myself, but the social media platforms, wherever I look at the moment, are inundated with I'm a coach and I can help this and I can help you change that, and, you know, get rich quick schemes. But people look beyond that. People look deeper than that. And your connection with somebody probably starts even before you're engaging with them in a coaching way. It's just about who you are being. And when you bring the coaching relationship to such a closeness where you can ask the client that you are working with to go behind the scenes, to trust you enough in your coaching expertise, to be able to take their mask off and be true to who you are, then what ensues is a fearless questioning, not from a place of ego as you as a coach that says, hey, I've got these tools and techniques, let me wow you with how good I am at using them. You know, let me get the light bulb moment that I need as a coach. What you're doing with the coaching relationship is saying, trust me. I have huge levels of integrity and I won't take you anywhere where I will not catch you if you fall. I won't take you anywhere that you don't really need to go, but I will challenge you and hold you accountable to those breakthroughs that you have come to work with me. Some of my other clients have come to me having experienced a number of coaches, and they're all coming to me in a way where they have an expectation. What I'd like to think is, through a deeper level of authenticity, I am hopefully, and so it seems from feedback, bringing something to the coaching space that they have been looking for. And that spark, that key ingredients, is what has kept me in business for the last 16 years, what has kept people coming back to me, what has kept new people to stay with me, what has allowed me to grow my business through word of mouth recommendation and through referrals and through repeat business. But that understanding of myself, that staying true to who I am, and allowing the people I am working with to have a sense of that, so I can ask them to be as authentic with themselves as I am with myself, is key to those deeper client connections. All of that for me over the last 16 years has been part of my marketing message. But I'm going to hand you to Adam in a minute, because within that marketing message for me, I was challenged as to how to turn what is a passion for me and what I truly believe into an effective marketing message through my own fears. And I know, working with Adam, he's helped me see a different side to that and helped me increase my marketing awareness. And on that note, I'll hand it back to him.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you very much indeed. I think that marketing is a really critical part of any coaching practice. I think it's really difficult sometimes for coaches to find effective and efficient ways of marketing themselves. And what authenticity does, what taking an authentic approach to your marketing does, is it frees you up. And what it does is it allows you to bring a focus round on what's important in your marketing, what's important in your practice, what's important to your clients. Because what we want to do is what you want to do, and what we will help you do is attract clients who are perfect for you. So in an ideal world, you have an appointment book filled with clients who identify you as the perfect coach for them, and you feel that they are the perfect client for you. And marketing, again, having spoke to hundreds of coaches about this, often coaches feel really uncomfortable about marketing their business. I think sometimes there's this sense that it's a higher calling. Sometimes they just don't know where to start, or don't feel comfortable doing all of the things that they need to do to market effectively. And sometimes it's because they've picked the wrong marketing processes for them. But normally the two main reasons for this kind of discomfort or dissonance are, number one, as I mentioned, they're kind of unsure of what you're doing. So there's pain because of a knowledge gap. There's a learning curve that needs to be got over. There's this sense that you're going to have to, I think coaches often use this term, put themselves out there, and the feeling of vulnerability that comes with that, with opening up and sharing your values and your beliefs, and covering your marketing with your integrity. I think there's a sense of kind of trepidation that goes with that. And that's one kind of discomfort that comes from coaches that I speak to around about their marketing. The other one is a slightly different one. It's discomfort, and it's genuine cognitive dissonance. It's a time when your values and beliefs aren't congruent with the marketing behaviors or the marketing content that you're creating. And so effectively what happens is that you're not aligned. Your values and beliefs and your marketing are not aligned. And what inevitably happens with these kind of get-rich-quick, out-the-box marketing systems is that they don't get delivered properly, because as a coach, you can't really give your heart and soul to something that you don't believe in, or it's completely uncomfortable for you to do it. So it doesn't get done, or you outsource it to someone who doesn't quite understand what it is to be a coach, or to be authentic and to be you, or worst case scenario almost, it does work and you attract a big pile of the wrong type of clients, and you have to go to the well day in, day out, for clients who perhaps aren't appreciating what you're bringing to the coaching space, who aren't getting the outcomes that you want. And as a result, you end up depleting your coaching energy, which most people don't have a limitless supply of, because you're not being, your well of coaching energy isn't being filled by these people that you've attracted because your marketing hasn't been quite right. And I think that that's a really challenging thing for a lot of coaches. But when you bring authenticity to the front and center of your marketing, and you start to talk from the heart and talk about values and talk about your beliefs and what's important, you start to attract people who have those shared values, those shared beliefs. So it allows you to take action and start to bring it all together. And that's the fourth pillar. And we haven't really covered the four pillars, but the fourth pillar of the authentic coach is authentic actions. And if we talk specifically about marketing, if your marketing has been built authentically and it comes from a true representation of your values and your beliefs, then any procrastination about getting started, if it's coming from a place of discomfort, you can know that it's just about learning and moving yourself out of your comfort zone. And it's not this dissonance of mismatched values and beliefs. So by putting authenticity front and center, if you're not doing it, it just becomes a coaching issue. It becomes about moving you out of your own comfort zone. But because you're doing it from the right place, because you're doing it targeting the right clients, any action you take, you can do without any worry, because it will be authentically yours. And so I hope that makes sense. And I'm going to pass back to Dave, because I know that he is a huge believer in action as the pinnacle of all this discussion about authenticity. And so Dave, can I just pass you back?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I have no doubt that anybody that's listening to this call in any sort of coaching capacity, which is, probably the majority of the audience, or even just in life really, is action is crucial. All of us in the coaching profession will, at some point at the end of it, will have that call to action. It's just kind of a bit of a battle cry. Is thanks for that, and thanks for the session, and thanks for your time. But what are you now going to do next? And that call to action is not just for our clients. That call to action is kind of for us as well. And if Adam sort of mentioned procrastination, if we know that the actions that we're going to take aren't true and aren't really authentic, then we can convince ourselves, not to take them, or we can convince ourselves that we're taking the right ones and actually that we know that we're not. So we have to be aligned in those actions, and to take the right actions, we have to support it with the right frame of mind, which is aligned with those actions. And if that's all fed through a theme of authenticity, then we've said it a few times, I guess, and as coaches will know this, then we are congruent. We are congruent in how we think, we are congruent in how we feel, we are congruent in the actions that we take. And when that's weaved together with authenticity, then the power of those actions is manifest in the results that we get from it. So totally, taking actions key to anything that we are looking to do and looking for our clients to achieve. Adam?
Dave, I'm just going to say before we move on to the last, we've had a couple of questions. The first one's for Kathy, and she's asked, how do you connect authenticity with this sense of self?
How do you connect with it?
Yeah, what do you? I guess that what she means is how practically do you do it?
Yeah, great question. Thanks, Kathy. I guess for me, it's an intuitive knowing. It's an understanding in myself when something is out of kilter. I mean, I'm sure all of us here at some point have had the experience when we know something isn't right, something doesn't fit, something just doesn't gel. And for me, that knowledge, that sense of one's self allows us to decide whether we are going to pursue that and whether we're not. And I can't speak for the audience, of course, because I don't know you all, but for me, I know when I've pursued something that isn't right. I know when I've pursued something that doesn't fit with my values. And I know when I've dipped my toe into something that really I shouldn't be. I might know it from the start and give it a test, but I also know that when something is right, when I am coming from my own sense of space, when I am coming from my own sense of self-esteem and self-worth and authenticity, I know from a feeling that I have that it just fits. And that, for me, is how I marry it up. It's an internal sense of things.
Good, excellent. Sorry to put you on the spot there for a second, but it seemed like
no problem. That's what we're here for.
An appropriate question. What we want to do now is, and just quickly before you dial off, is tell you what's coming next from the Authentic Coach. A couple of people contacted us last week just to find out when we were running workshops because we'd mooted them before. And the first of our workshops will be starting in January and focusing on developing authenticity for coaches. So it'll be a general exploration of your own authenticity, how that currently impacts your clients and your business growth. And then we'll move through that onto looking at practical ways of harnessing your particular version of yourself and your values, and in ensuring that we give you working concepts and working content that allow you to take that away and start to grow into the next level of your business. And if you're interested in that, please contact us when you've watched this or sign off from this webinar, and you'll get us on adam@theauthenticcoach.co.uk or on Facebook. Now, if you feel that you would benefit from working one-on-one with either Dave or myself, thanks, Dave. There is, we've put together some packages for you. There's a guided coaching one-on-one with Dave, and that's to help you discover and utilize your own authenticity in a series of coaching sessions, which generally with David are delivered over the phone, but if you're local, then he can meet you and buy your cappuccino. And what he will do is he'll focus on each of those pillars and the key areas of success and use all the knowledge he has to help you grow in the direction that you want to take your business. And so if that's of interest to you, please again get in contact with us either through social or on the email adam@theauthenticcoach.co.uk. Or finally, and if you feel like marketing is the part of your business that you'd like to focus on, we have an authentic marketing mentoring program that I'll be running. And it's slightly different from coaching because in this case, I'll have some of the answers, which is I guess what you would hope, and you'll have the content. So inside your mind will be all the authentic pieces that are important, and I'll help you put them together in such a way and guide you through that process of marketing and using business development to attract the right type of clients and build the right type of marketing assets and grow systems and introduce the marketing in a way that allows you to both maintain it and deliver it and tune it to grow your business. And again, if you're interested in that, then please get in contact at the usual address. So I think if we sign off, I'd just like to say thank you very much for joining us. I think probably Dave might say a few words to this statement at the end. Certainly it's the way now that I'm stretching into my late 40s and I've been living my life the way that I do for a long, long time. I've realised that authenticity is incredibly important to me. So Dave, would you like to have the last word this evening?
Well, my last word is thank you, and thank you for joining us. But for this slide, I guess it's a truism for myself, and it's a truism for all those that I have worked with. It's a truism for, I guess, how we want to live, really. Authenticity is not something that we just hope is there. It really is something that we can feel is there, that we can sense is there. And I think when we want it in others, we have to be able to show it in ourselves first. And I look forward to working with you at some point and finding out how we can explore that in greater depth for your own success and for the success of your business.
Thanks very much, folks. Have a lovely evening, and we look forward to hearing from you.